behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Palm Mash TV. Palm Mash TV.
Well, hello there. It's Palm Mash TV time again. Thanks for joining us. We have another interview shortly. But before we begin, if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button and the bell, and you're always going to be notified of any new episodes coming your way. And check out the comment section to leave one if you'd like. We'd love to hear from you. And if you look at the description part, as well as the closing credits at the end of this episode, you'll have contact info so you can contact us. So I hope you will stay tuned for that. From Trenton, Ontario, Canada today, we have Percy Kinney. Great artist. I think you're really going to love him. And we'll get to that in just a second. But first, here's a quick word from the Caden Gordon Show. So don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
It is Caden from the Caden Gordon Show. Today's best country mix. Check out my show at thecadengordonshow.com.
Okay, we're back, and with us from Trenton, Ontario, Canada today, we have Percy Kinney with us. Thanks for joining us, Percy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We're glad to have you here. Everyone has their own story when it comes to how they get started in music, so why don't you tell us a little bit about you? I mean, have you always wanted to be an artist since you were a little child? Did you fall into it much later? I mean, tell us in your own words.
I always wanted to be a drummer from the time I was a young child, and that's what I got into, and I played drums for a number of startup bands, playing in bars and things. And then that's back when I was in the military. And then when I got out, I went to Toronto and worked for some local bands and did a little bit of singing, but not very much. And it wasn't until the later days, probably in my late 40s, early 50s, that I decided to write. Wanted to know if I could write songs. And I started writing songs, and I've got about 60 of them written now. Some are okay, some are pretty good, some are whatever. But I really enjoy that. Of all the things I do, and I play drums, I perform, I sing for people, I have a studio. The thing I enjoy the most is writing. I don't know if it's the thing I do the best, but it's the thing I enjoy the most.
Yeah, I can understand that. Tell us a little bit about your influences. I mean, I'm sure some of the legends of country music come to mind, but tell us a few of those.
Well, I grew up in Toronto initially, and my parents were of the 40s generation, 30s generation, and they listened to country music. And so by osmosis, I listened to country music, and unlike a young person in my age at the time, I really enjoyed it. See, I'm wearing a hat. I used to wear hats even back then, which got me beat up a few times. But anyway, I've always listened to country music, and I listened to other things too, but I've really enjoyed it and stuck with it for years.
Okay, so some of the legends come to mind, like Hank Sr. and, things like that?
Yeah, Hank Sr., the first exposure I had that I remember was my mother had a couple of records by a Canadian artist named Dick Nolan. Mm-hmm. And he was from Newfoundland. He did a lot of Newfoundland songs, but he did a lot of classic country covers too, and he had a nice deep voice, and he did Truck Driving Man and things like that. And we had those albums in my home, and I listened to them, and that was my first exposure to actual people I know. I'm sure I heard of Haggart and Williams and all those guys, but the one I remembered because my mother listened to it so much was Dick Nolan. And interestingly enough, both Wolf and I got to play for him on the road for a couple of years later.
Okay, yeah, a couple of those are pretty good bands you mentioned there. Why don't you tell everybody about how we can find your music? I'm sure it's in all streaming platforms, but where are you on social media and official website, stuff like that? We'd love to hear about that.
I have a YouTube channel under my name and my company name, PAK Productions, PAK Productions, and myself. And on there's probably 50 or 60 videos of Wolf is on there. I'm on there with a few songs, mostly of videos that I either produced or had some role in. So if someone went on there, they'll find a lot of, they won't find too many American artists, but they will find a lot of Canadian artists and at one time very popular Canadian artists, many of them who are no longer with us. But I produced some TV shows that they are in, and I produced some videos that they're in. So I put all of them on a channel, and my stuff's on there, and some of Wolf's stuff is on there, and and a lot of people that are on there that are people that we know. And most of the tunes are cover tunes, but I have a number of originals on there, and I enjoy putting them on when I get a chance.
Okay. Well, just look him up on YouTube then, and I know he would love you for that. And I guess the video we're going to play is called "We Belong Together." Sounds self-explanatory, but tell us a little story about this.
Well, I've written a lot of songs, and got it in my head one day, and I forget what the motivation was, but the idea, and I was thinking, we belong together, like, paper and pen, just things that go together. So I started to think of all these things that go together, and I wrote the song to say, like this and that and that and this, we belong together. So that's the premise of the song, and I bring a bunch of things in that go together, just like, we go together, wherever the we is.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the beginning of the song. And I've written a few songs like that. I wrote one called it's called X's and O's, and the opening lines are, have you ever played X's and O's? You win when you get 3 in a row. I've played the game most all of my life. I've got 3 X's. They've all been my wife. So it goes from there. And this is the same idea. It's just put the things together that seem to fit, and you can let it speak for itself, I suppose.
Okay, I love this song, by the way, and as always, I think you people are going to like it too. And we'll get to that in a second. But Percy, thank you so much for coming by today.
Well, thank you for having me.
We would love to have you back again sometime if you ever want to plug something new.
You bet. Anytime.
Okay, well, here it is, "We Belong Together" by Percy Kinney, and it begins right now.
Like surfing sand, spick and span, hot dog franks and beans from the can. Like burgers and fries, the stars in your eyes, we belong together. Like wine and cheese, thank you and please, your favorite jeans with patches for knees. Like Barbie and Ken from way back when, we belong together. We belong together through all kinds of weather. The good, the bad, whatever, here and now, forever. Like flowers in spring, songs that you sing, your left hand in our wedding ring. Like cookies and milk, this song's about how we belong together. Like fire and smoke, laugh at a joke, peaches and cream and rum and coke. Our kisses and hugs, snug as a bug, we belong together. We belong together through all kinds of weather. The good, the bad, whatever, here and now, forever. Like the birds and the bees, the flowers and the trees, the fish in the water and a nice cool breeze. I share my life with my sweet wife, 'cause we belong together. Yeah, through all kinds of weather, the good, the bad, whatever, here and now.